Can I just ask, what actual evidence do you have, as opposed to allegations, to show to the American public that would merit an actual impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden and prove that today isn't just about some of you...
Oh, I don't know.
...McCarthy for the sake of enacting political revenge.
This isn't about political revenge. We have the bank accounts. We can see, ma'am, you can see that the homes that the Bidens own can't be afforded on a congressional or Senate salary. You also understand that it's not normal for family members to receive millions of dollars from overseas interests. Those things aren't normal. That's not normal to have 20 shell companies. These things are not normal, and it alludes to not only just widespread corruption, but money laundering, if not influence peddling itself. And we also have the president, the vice president at the time, on record saying that the prosecutor was fired. Well, son of a... The prosecutor was fired, right? Because the prosecutor was going after the company that his son was working on. That's what we have. If you can't see that, if you are that blind, look, I'll turn it over to the attorneys.
People can't see that. They think it's political revenge.
It's because you don't report on it.
For some reason, Republican congressmen are getting more and more flushed when talking about their case against Joe Biden and now their impeachment inquiry against him. They have press conferences like this and get pissed off when reporters actually ask questions. You notice how Representative Clyde there popped in from the background with the exact same "how dare you" look on his face that Representative Perry was sporting over a question, by the way, about evidence.
Can I just ask, what actual evidence do you have, as opposed to allegations, to show to the American public that would merit an actual impeachment inquiry?
Representative Perry wasn't very happy that the reporter brought up political revenge as their motivation for impeachment. As usual, he claims it was the media's fault. But last time I checked, Ronna McDaniel was the head of the RNC, not the head of CNN, when she said this.
The impeachment inquiry that House Speaker McCarthy is going to push forward today, do you think that helps Republicans?
I think he's right on. I think Kevin's right on. I think our voters are sick and tired of Republicans getting attacked all the time through the courts, through whatever, and it's time to go after Biden.
Our voters are tired of the former president and his courts maybe being held accountable for their actions against the country. There, she accidentally admits that it's partially about swaying voters in revenge. She's probably thinking, why else do we have a two-party system that sees voters as fans of rival teams if we can't exploit it for political gain? In fact, Ronna McDaniel wasn't too happy with the impeachment inquiry for President Trump back in 2019, and she tried spinning it to claim that it was great for Trump. From 2019, the sudden flood of donations to President Trump's re-election effort provides undeniable evidence that this impeachment gambit represents a massive miscalculation. So, does this mean this impeachment inquiry is great for Joe Biden, too? By the way, if Republicans have actual evidence of corruption and collusion between Hunter and his father back when he was VP, it's perfectly acceptable for them to show it. Fellow Republican Matt Gaetz publicly pressured Speaker McCarthy to go with the impeachment inquiry without a full House vote by threatening to oust him over and over again. So it's looking like McCarthy knew this might not be the best move in the first place. But after Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene throttled his speaker votes in exchange for extra power, they might be exercising their control over him now. He's feeling the pressure from both them and reporters, too, because he wanted nothing to do with a question about why he's changed his mind on impeachment without that House vote.
You know what's interesting to me? You were a reporter for CNN, correct? Yes. I just laid out to you a lot of allegations based upon the American public.
I'm just asking about your words. Why did you change your words?
Okay, well, let me answer your question, because I've answered it every single day, and you could answer me every single day. Nancy Pelosi changed the president of this House.
But that was
this doesn't preclude from a... Nancy Pelosi changed the president of this House on September 24th. It was withheld and good enough for every single Democrat here. It was good enough for the judge. Why would it have to be different today? What we've learned in the last couple of weeks, wouldn't you want to know the answer to? Why don't you ask the other questions? Why don't you want to ask?
No, you don't. You never change your position.
I never changed my position.
You don't. 12 days ago.
You know what's interesting to me? So you don't care about any of the answers.
I've never changed my position 12 days ago. 12 days ago to Breitbart News, this was the headline. McCarthy on possible impeachment inquiry. Would-be House vote. To open an impeachment inquiry is a serious matter, and House Republicans would not take it lightly or use it for political purposes. The American people deserve to be heard on this matter through their elected representatives, is what McCarthy told Breitbart. That's why, if we move forward with an impeachment inquiry, it would occur through a vote on the floor of the People's House and not through a declaration by one person. Sounds like you did, Kevin. But let's hear House Republicans out for a minute. Maybe McCarthy changed his mind because the inquiry will actually give Jim Jordan and James Comer new investigative and law enforcement powers in terms of compelling testimony and enforcing some subpoenas. So finally, it's time to get all the evidence that House Republicans have been clamoring about. I mean, for real, if they have all this damning evidence, I think people are actually ready to see it. They can even subpoena Hunter Biden himself. So, James Comer, will you subpoena Hunter since this is all about corruption and not political retribution? Spoiler alert, he dodges the question for a minute straight, but we found out that the answer is just no.
Congressman, why not subpoena him and have him testify on Capitol Hill? Even if he doesn't say anything, that's going to be uncomfortable for the president to have his son testifying on the Hill.
Right. Well, when I announced the investigation early on, I said we're going to follow the money. And Hunter Biden's more than welcome to come in front of the committee. If he wants to clear his good name, if he wants to come and say, you know, these weren't 20 shell companies, they actually did something. He's invited today. We will drop everything.
Yeah, but he's not going to volunteer to do that. We both know that. But if you subpoena him, he then has to.
Well, he can fight the subpoena in court. It's very difficult. You know, I think if it were easy to get a president or their son in front of a House committee, the January 6th committee probably would have done that with Donald Trump.
No, good point. Although son's different. Everyone always says Hunter Biden's a private citizen. So it's not like you're subpoenaing Joe Biden right now.
Private citizen, but what we found in the last few weeks is he was communicating back and forth with the government about Ukrainian policy, which is a huge problem for Joe Biden.